Since when did telling kids to sit down and shut up become racist? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about yet another woke teacher, this time out of Blacksburg, Virginia. That's way out far west. That's where Virginia Tech is. A relatively small town. I've been by there many times. I've right off Route 81, south of Roanoke, in between, I think, was that Roanoke and Radford. A lot of colleges right there. So I'm not really sure where this guy came from, if he was born and raised in Blacksburg or if he went to Virginia Tech and didn't leave and just stayed there to become a high school teacher. But anyway, super woke, white liberal, talking about behavioral standards are a form of white supremacy. Now, the guy's logic does not compute to me, but you guys got to be the judge. So let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see and hear the guy posting himself on TikTok talking about this thing. He went ahead and deleted it, of course, because once you get put out there like that, now all of a sudden you don't want that attention. You want attention because you're on TikTok. When you get bad attention, all of a sudden now you want to fall back. Anyway, after we get done watching that, I'll talk about what he said there. Then I give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
I made a comment on one of Miss April's recent videos about PBIS, in which I stated that PBIS is white supremacy with the hug, and a lot of y'all wanted to know more about that, so here we go. First of all, thank you to Jack Copa, who reminded me that Dina Simmons was the first to coin this term, so thank you, Jack, so much. So if PBIS concerns itself with positive behaviors, we have to ask ourselves, okay, well, what are those positive behaviors? And it's things like making sure that you're following directions and making sure that you're sitting quietly and you are in your seat and all these things that come from white culture. The idea of just sitting quiet and being told stuff and taking things in a passive stance is not a thing that's in with many cultures. So if we're positively enforcing these behaviors, we are by extension positively enforcing elements of white culture, which therefore keeps whiteness at the center, which is the definition of white supremacy.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, this guy, wow. I mean, the words kind of escaped me. First things first, this is racist. Okay, people are trying to find racism all the time. They're trying to dig up dead bodies of Confederate generals or moving statues. They're trying to find racism in inanimate objects. But what if I told you, in my Morpheus voice, what if I told you that, what if I said that it was easy to find racism? It's right in front of your face. Go to high school, middle school, elementary, whatever, and you're going to see guys just like this. And by the way, if I had kids, I would not let my kids around that guy for 5 minutes alone. You're talking about creep factor beyond 9,000, but different story, I digress. The whole point is that the racism is right in front of your very eyes. It's right there. Why is it racist to have behavioral standards for everyone? The implied thing here is that if you are a black kid, because, I mean, you're in Blacksburg, you could say non-white, but Blacksburg, you're probably talking about whites and blacks. If you're saying that it's racist to tell black kids to behave, then you're saying that black kids cannot behave. You're just writing them off. So you will also say that black kids are going to commit crime. They're going to be violent. They're going to be dangerous. So when we're talking about the black on black crime rates, how they're very high, and we got to do something about it, like tougher sentencing, actually put guys in the penitentiary, big rocks, little rocks. When we say stuff like that, oh, you're being racist, all this and that. But when you say that black kids cannot behave, and if you ask them to behave, that's racist, I don't see how you can say one thing and then at the same time say the other. You're talking out both sides of your mouth. Pick one and stick with it. If there's a behavioral problem with anyone, treat them the same way. I don't care what color they are. If you are in high school, you're doing the wrong thing, middle school, elementary school, whatever, discipline needs to be happening. And they need to be suspended or well. If you happen to have a school where, let's say, for example, the population is 80% white, 20% black, or like, let's say, majority white and minority black, but the black kids have a higher suspension rate, oh, well, if you just treat everybody the same, and if you get different results, who's to blame for that? Who's to blame? Nobody. It just is what it is. But hey, who am I? I'm just a guy on the internet talking. And I think you're going to see a lot more things like this pop up when you're talking about school. What they say, they are also eliminating math requirements in certain Virginia schools and certain schools all over the country, but definitely in Virginia. I think once you get more toward Northern Virginia, we're going to reduce the math and the science and a lot of the more difficult fields. We're going to remove AP math and AP science and AP English, all this and that. We're going to remove these things because the black and brown kids don't perform well. The white and Asian also, the white and Asian kids perform better. So to close that gap, we're going to eliminate the class altogether. So the smart kids, the bright kids are going to be stunted in their growth. They're not going to be challenged. They're going to be in school bored, get ready to fall asleep because they're not getting any kind of hard work. And the black and brown kids get a false sense of achievement. Hey, I'm doing great. I got a 4.0, all this and that. Meanwhile, you weren't challenged the whole time. You pretty much be in a classroom sleeping. So when you go to college, you're not prepared. You're going to have worse grades than everybody else because of affirmative action, not being prepared properly, not being challenged. You're thinking that you're going to be, going to Harvard, Yale, etc. Meanwhile, you're struggling at a community college and you're wondering why. You're wondering why. Because you were never challenged. And since you were never challenged, your grades don't really reflect where you actually are. You're getting straight A's and whatnot, a 4.0, but that's the equivalent of a 2.0 if you went to a more challenging place. This is what's going on. This is why when you're talking about some of these schools that have reduced their requirements all the way down to pretty much nothing, you can have a person that has a 1.3 GPA in Baltimore. I did a story about that a few months back. A 1.3 GPA, but ranks middle of the class. You can have a valedictorian of a high school that cannot read. I was watching their graduation for the guy for that school that had the 1.3 GPA. They had a virtual graduation, and it's all black school, black students, teachers, everything. They had the valedictorian get on there and read, and she was struggling. The valedictorian. Now, you would think that the best student in your school would have the basic skill of reading. In my humble opinion, I think reading is the easiest thing. I mean, if you're not even literate in your own language, then what are we doing? You got other parts of the world where they're literate in multiple languages as children. If you're not literate in your home language in one language and you're the valedictorian, you're doomed. But this is the culture of the low expectations. I don't want to say the cliche soft bigotry. That's straight up bigotry of low expectations. If people don't measure up to the expectations, oh well. That's not your fault as a teacher or administrator. That's the kid's fault, the parents' fault, somebody, but it's not your fault. Hold everybody to the same standard. And if you don't, then that's racism. If the kids aren't doing well, then that's on them. They got to figure out a way to get her done. I think one of the reasons why kids, as I close, one of the reasons why kids don't perform very well in school, a lot of black kids especially, is because their parents don't really care. Their parents send them to school as a blank slate. They're 5, 6 years old, can't even read their own name, can't write, can't count to 10. They can't do anything. They spent their time before school learning dances, going on TikTok. They can't read, they can't do anything. I done met kids that's about to be going to middle school that can't spell simple words like chocolate. How you spell chocolate? I don't know. They're trying to go on their phone and look it up. That's the actual problem. When I was a kid, I was getting flashcards. My mom put me in front of Sesame Street reading Rainbow. You probably can't do that anymore because all the LGBT, LMNOP, but that's a different story. The whole point is that I was educated from a very young age, long before school. My mother didn't rely upon the federal government or the state government or whatever to educate me. She educated me before we went to the school. That's how I was able to be ahead of the curve and have, an advantage and an edge over my counterparts in school. And that's why, quite frankly, I was bored half of the time too, because, you're in a low income area, you black. Okay, we give you this real easy, busy work. I'm in there trying to I'm drawing comics and whatnot, just trying to free my time up, just trying to find things to do with my free time. Let's not have race-based rules and regulations. Let's have the same standard apply across the board. Is that so hard to grasp as a concept? Maybe so, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this teacher talking about telling kids to behave is racist? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I'm not in favor of race-based anything. Have the same standard be across the board. Don't give anybody preferential treatment or worse treatment. Don't treat black kids better or worse. Treat everyone, regardless of what color they are, the same. If you get different results, then so what? Oh, well, that's life. You're not going to be able to necessarily negate that. Just do your part and teach the same, treat everyone the same. That's equality right there. Equality is not treating different races differently because you think they are different inherently. That's not equality. That's called racism. And we've gotten beyond that, or we're trying to get beyond that in this country, I suppose. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.